Hey you guys, it's your girl T, and I want to go ahead and shout out VH1 Access. So VH1 Access sent me this story. It's going viral all over the net. If you guys remember a few months ago, I did the video about the mother in Arizona. Her name is Shanesha Taylor. And she's the one who had left her 2 kids in a hot car to supposedly go in for a job interview. And at that time, a lot of folks were going in on her. But then when people saw her mugshot and seen her crying, for whatever reason, it stuck a chord with a lot of people. And people started donating to her defense fund. And they were able to raise her over $115,000. I had made a video about her, and I have felt bad for her because, like I said, I've been in that same situation where when we lived in North Carolina, it was just me and my husband, and we didn't have family, and there were times where he had to be at work, or I might be sick and I'd be stuck with my son, or my son would be in the hospital with us, and I'd have to ask my co-workers for help and things like that. So I know how it is to be in a city, to be in a state, to not have family members, to not have people help you with your children. But even with that being said, I've never left my kids in a hot ass car. But a lot of folks felt bad for her, and I too felt bad for her because I felt like this was just a woman who was struggling. You know, she's trying to get a job. It wasn't like they caught her outside of a casino or outside of a strip club. She was going in for a job interview. So I understand why a lot of people felt bad and why a lot of people donated. I know for a fact one of my subscribers sent her $300. I know that for a fact because they emailed me because they were so touched by her story. So I really feel bad about this situation, but this is what's going on now with Shanesha Taylor. And I've been keeping up with this story, trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this lady. But what they're saying is that now she's about to be in contempt of the court. So what happened is that once all this money came to her possession, the courts told her to basically put $60,000 aside for her 2 children, so that way they can use it for their college tuition and things like that. And then she was free to keep the other half of the money. So then when they needed, information and proof showing that she had set up these trust funds, she claimed that she wasn't able to set it up and that $60,000 was too much money and that she needed it lowered. They lowered it from not only $60,000 to $40,000 to eventually $30,000, and this selfish bitch has still not put aside $30,000 for her kids. She's refusing to show any paperwork on what she spent the money on. Now it's come out that she spent over $6,000 on her baby daddy's rap album. So folks are pissed off about this situation. This broad has literally squandered this money. I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a news clip right now, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
New at 10, the Valley mom who left her kids in a car during a job interview is now asking for your donations as she heads to trial. Just last week, we learned she hadn't put any of the money that many of you already gave, nearly $115,000, into trust funds for her kids, breaking a deal to avoid charges. Now, ABC 15's John Erickson has been following this closely, and John, you're learning that one of her biggest supporters is no longer backing her up.
Sure is, Danielle. Reverend Jarrett Maupin is a man who is outspoken on the matter of civil rights. He admits that some of his comments tonight are politically incorrect, but he doesn't care. He says he's just had it with Shanesha Taylor. It's Shanesha Taylor's fall from grace, at least in the eyes of civil rights leader Reverend Jarrett Maupin.
I don't consider myself a supporter any longer.
Maupin says he got her jobs, but she never showed up.
Her name's Shanesha Taylor. I call these jobs Taylor-ready jobs. All she had to do was show up, and unfortunately, she just didn't.
Maupin says Taylor told him that she was interested in the hospitality industry, so he got her job offers from hotels.
Work is the operative word. There's no indication that she actually wants to engage in any.
And what about the money?
We had someone call my office and alert her attorney to the fact that she spent $6,000 at a music studio in Tempe to finish her baby daddy's rap album. I hope it's a hit. I hope it's a hit, and I hope it was worth it. Because that's not what people gave her that money for.
Maupin says people might now be hesitant to donate to people with similar stories.
I think she's given minorities a bad name, poor people in general. It's hard and it's not politically correct. Maybe some people will be shocked, but it's the truth.
And now that she's asking for more money to help pay for her legal fees,
she should have $72,000 for her defense. No one is trying to separate Shanesha from her money. We're trying to separate Shanesha from her mistakes, and that has proven to be perhaps an insurmountable obstacle.
We do have a response from Shanesha Taylor tonight. She says, I haven't spoken to him, Reverend Maupin, since July 21st. He has not been part of my defense team. Anything he says is libel or slander. Now, Taylor is due in court December 3rd. Watch our full interview with Reverend Maupin on our website, abc15.com. Danielle, that'll be posted in just a few minutes here.
Yeah, so two sides to that story. We'll have to see what happens in December. Thank you, John, for that.
I watched the news clip, and I'm like literally disgusted by this story. You know, the funny thing is when you look at her, now you notice before she had the money, she had that shitty ass weave on in that picture. But now her hair is fried, dyed, and laid to the side. They're also saying that on top of that, she was coming to court with Michael Kors bags, name brand clothing, $200 jeans. So she's been spending all her money on, you know, keeping herself up, on clothes, taking her kids out to Chuck E. Cheese, you know, eating fast food. It's like, I just don't understand people like this. You know what I'm saying? You got blessed where people came out, they reached out for you. You have millions of people out here who don't make $30,000 a year. You were blessed to receive over $115,000. All you had to do was put a fraction of that to the side, and she couldn't even do that. Yet and still she had money to buy studio time for her baby father's album. Where was this baby's father when your ass needed to go to this job interview? So why couldn't he, if the baby's father's around, why was he not around when you needed to go to this job interview and you left your kids in the hot car? You know, I don't understand this. Then she has a nerve to be on Twitter tweeting talking about she needs people to donate money to her defense fund. She has to go back to court December 3rd, and they're seriously thinking about throwing the book at her. I'm to the point where I'm fed up with this lady, so I can imagine how the court system is. People have gone to bat for her. The NAACP has gone to bat for her. The gentleman in the news clip, he has a longer video. I'm going to go ahead and post the link down below. I want you guys to watch his 15-minute video. He goes into details about Shanesha Taylor's character. He says that they had gotten jobs for her. She refused to show up. She didn't even have to interview. They were just giving her a job just because. I know so many people right now who are out of work, who are looking for work, who can't get work, who have filled out applications. They've heard nothing back. This woman has been offered jobs time and time again, and she never showed up. She got that money and she was content. She didn't want to do shit else. You know, so to me, she deserves her karma. I think she needs to be locked up, and her kids either need to be with the baby's father or need to be in foster care, because this woman is obviously unfit. First of all, she was unfit by leaving her children in the car to go to this so-called job interview. But then the fact that she got $115,000 and has literally squandered it, and then she put the money in her mother's bank account because she knows that they can't tap into her mother's bank account like they can hers. You know, so everything about this woman is sneaky. Everything about her is conniving. Now, granted, she didn't ask people to donate to her. The internet just decided to donate to her out of their own, you know, free will. You know, just like people have donated to other causes on the internet. But for her to take those donations and squander it and not help her children speaks volumes about Shanesha Taylor. This bitch is full of shit. And with that being said, I want to know when this album is dropping so that way I can hear this album for myself. The fact that you had the nerve to take $6,000 of donation money to put towards an album for your baby's daddy, that album better not only be a decent album, but it better make the Billboard's top 100. I mean, because this to me is just damn ridiculous that she would do this. I have no respect for this woman. This woman is selfish. She's even gotten bigger, so that shows that she's eating well. You know what I mean? It's all about her. Now, last night I was up and I was watching the Carlina White story. Now, if you guys remember, Carlina White was that baby that was kidnapped from the hospital in New York. And basically in that story, they're going in and they're talking to the mom and the father of Carlina White. They were teenage parents at the time when she was kidnapped. But the reason why I'm bringing up the Carlina White story is that these two teenagers ended up suing the hospital. And in that lawsuit, they ended up winning about $170,000. They split the money in half, and then they put aside about $50,000 to $60,000. I forget how much they put aside, but it was a good chunk of money. They put that into a trust fund for Carlina White in the event she ever came home, and that no one could touch it until her 21st birthday. So these were two teenagers, okay, who had never been parents before, but they had enough common sense and they had enough love for their child that they took that money, instead of them squandering the money and being foolish with the money and, you know, tricking it off. They took that money. They were not court ordered to take. This was their money, so they didn't have to put a trust for Carlina White. They didn't have to do anything for her. But they took that money, they put it in a trust for that girl, and they left it in that trust for 21 years. Now, she was found, I think, when she was 23 is when, the story broke. So at that point in time, they ended up giving the money to their other children that they had. Mother and father of Carlina White are separated, but they have children by other people. So they ended up taking that money and just dividing it amongst their children, since they had no idea if Carlina White was ever going to be found. So she had just missed out on that money. That showed you that they were true parents, that they really cared about their child, because they set that money aside for her for 21 years. This woman had to be court ordered to put money aside for her children, and she couldn't even do that. And on top of that, she went to court 2 times to lower the amount, and the court tried to help her by agreeing to lowering the amount, and she still didn't follow through with it. This woman is nothing but a farce and a scam artist. I have no respect for Shanesha Taylor. Her ass needs to be locked up. She needs to face those charges. She needs to be locked up for negligence and the fact that she spent that donation money and has nothing to show for it. And all this is doing is leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. It's going to make folks not want to donate and help people who are really in need anymore, because, she can do this. Who's to say that somebody else won't do it? And that's the irony of the situation, is that she's affecting other people who may seriously need a donation, who may seriously be going through some things, but now folks are going to think twice because of this big greedy bitch. Anyways, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation. Concerning Shanesha Taylor, how do you feel about this situation? Did you donate any money to her fund? And then also, what do you think should happen to her? Do you feel like she should be locked up and the original charges should be brought back to her? And then what do you think should happen to the rest of the donation money that she supposedly has? Do you feel like she should be forced to give back that $60,000? Let me know your thoughts on the entire situation. Don't forget to watch the 15-minute video. I'm going to post a link down below with everything that the gentleman from the NAACP is saying about Shanesha Taylor. So go ahead and leave a comment. All right, deuces.